welcome to Wine Dine Combine, where the world of wines unfolds right before your eyes. Today we are with Mark Borge, the owner of Zafrana Wine Boutique or Winery.
Welcome, my friend.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You welcome us with some nice wine.
We just poured some of our new Zafrana from 2024. It's a very fresh vintage. I got this to the occasion for this interview to understand a little bit our local terroir, I would say. It is practically a Zafrana, which is a Girgentina with Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay. And practically it represents quite a lot the Zafrana Boutique Winery. So I've been into the wine industry now for the last 20 years, out of which 11 years as a garagist. So a lot of experimentation, always keeping in mind these particular sites that are in Malta, especially with the indigenous varieties. So the project from day one was always to fetch certain sites which are unique to Malta and also unique to the world. Girgentina and Gellows are not planted anywhere else in the world. So we are trying as much as possible to utilize these varietals in our wines. But it all started, humblingly enough, in the garage in Mtarfa. Spent at least 11 years there, practicing the art of winemaking and practically getting in love with the subject as we moved along. We started off with just producing a small demijohn of 54 liters, and from year to year we kept on increasing not only the wine in general, but our collaboration with the local industrial market where it comes to viticulture. Cheers. Cheers. So as you can see, this wine is practically very pure. Here we are on Terra Rossa, meeting clay in a place in 𝐼𝐻𝐼. Okay, this vineyard is around 30 years of age, and is blended with another vineyard which has approximately 45 years of age, which is purely clay. So the idea of making such blends is to have these interactions from the soil, from the taste, from the way the wine grower practically is growing the vines, and also these tastes then match all together when blended. In order to get more complexity out of Girgentina and make Zafrana, we add Sauvignon Blanc, which creates this long finish for the wine itself. And to back it up, especially to beef it up a little bit in the mid-palate, I use Chardonnay. Okay?
It's still high acidity, you can feel it in the wine. It's fresh, it's something that appeals to the general public right now, demanding very fresh wines, very crispy wines. When you say from different vineyards, as you explained before, you have 3 vineyards surrounding the estate here.
Yeah. And
then you're getting some wine from the local producers. Can you tell us what are the challenges who you're facing with that? How did you get to know all these people? You know, how long it took actually, and we know that you're almost hitting your mark on 20th Jubilee. Like, yeah. This is a 20th year of existence of Markus Divinus. So
yeah, rightly so. 20 years. I must have vinified over 300 situations. When I say situations, different plots, different people, different blends. So even at the beginning, when I started venturing into viticulture, I was looking for these unique plots and not necessarily big vineyards. I was always interested in having those few numbers, few kilos, because first of all, we did not have the capacity to process such big vineyards. So for me, when I see this little corner in a interesting place, could be a picturesque place, it could be that I'm mountain biking somewhere and I'm seeing this sort of small vineyard, then I start talking about it with the people that were actually cultivating the land, and that's where it all started. In the beginning, at the garage, I used to not have a plan for winemaking. We used to rent a truck, a small truck, go out, for instance, in Sqaq and see who is practically harvesting grapes. And one day we met an incredible farmer. He was harvesting practically Syrah. Obviously, when I started my first garage experiments, I wanted immediately to see how Syrah is, for instance, developing here in Malta. So my first wine was a Syrah, you know. Then the second year already started experimenting with 3 different wines, a white, 2 reds. Every year building up on different areas, different methodologies, always very curious in other regions. I was very, I would say, jealous of regions like France, Italy, Malta. We don't really have this sort of wine as a religion. You know, you go to these countries and definitely they have wine, you know, they're breeding and eating the grapes, you know, from day to night. And I wanted a part of this, so the idea was actually to bring
the French lifestyle, the countryside to Malta.
The countryside, the viticulture, the winemaking, the harvest, the people celebrating harvest
wine culture,
together,
actually.
Wine culture together. Almost nowadays as a religion, I would say. After a lot of experimentation, different grapes, different soils, in 2015, I think it was one of the years, 10 years after starting in 2005, established the sort of styles we are going to head with the winery eventually. 2015, I was not even commercial winemaker, but still had a vision, obviously, to see where we should go with the range. Till today, I'm still in an experimental phase, I would say. Then we do 3 different other whites. We did not say how many bottles. We only do about 5,500 bottles per year. So we're the smallest wine producer in Malta, perhaps even in the Mediterranean. Last time I've checked, with 10 different styles of wines.
Let's talk about what actually brought you up to the world of wines. So 20 years ago you started, but what made you start? What is the... Perhaps it was one trigger situation, or it was one moment at time that you said, okay, I'm gonna start making wine. So what was that situation?
I think I'm gonna perhaps repeat a little bit myself. I got really enthusiastic when a lot of wine was being imported at one point in time when we joined the EU. It was not like that before that. So we were exposed to a lot of different...
Between 2005 and 2007, the big boom of wines
There was
started.
a big boom of wines. I already was sort of studying wines, reading about it, drinking, collecting a little bit. But then I was so much exposed to wine itself. I was very curious about the New World, for instance, that I had never tasted before, I would say. So got this curiosity, and when I get curious in something, then I am coming from, I would say, the manufacturing industry. For me, producing something was part of my life, I would say. I'm in industry since 30 years, nothing to do with wines, but I always love manufacturing, quality, process. I'm really excited when I talk about these things. So yes, it started as my grandmother that I never met, Gretz, had a field here in Dingli. And I had the opportunity to start doing some experimentation of how you set up a vineyard, of how you take care of it, with the idea to then transfer that situation into asking the farmers about quality. Since I'm coming from manufacturing, I know how difficult it is to produce, how difficult it is to maintain quality, so I wanted to get my hands dirty first before obviously going to the farmer and sort of dictate quality standards and what's not. So I spent at least 7 years cultivating this Syrah plot that I had here in Dingli, and I must say it was very difficult, extremely difficult to understand what was happening with the soil, with what was happening with the vines, the way the grapes were responding to the area.
Then the level of satisfaction is much greater now, so.
It is great, I would say, yes, but during those time it taught me quite a lot, because now I can feel obviously the pain of the farmer every year. That every year is very difficult, one to the one before, and also quality-wise, in order to do something which is very precise, you have to sacrifice by rejecting quite a bit. So when I was doing the grapes on my field, I used to, let's say, reject 40-50% of what I was producing, because I'm very, picky, precise on what's being harvested. So yeah, that immediately set my bar very high in terms of quality vis-a-vis the viticulture, I would say. So there was a lot of thinking in these 11 years, a lot of study, a lot of I would say research of Maltese terroir.
You were paving the way for yourself to open a proper winery.
And it was, I would say, stress-free, because I did not have any quality obligations. I was not following any standards. So every year I looked very forward to the harvest. Not because today I don't, but today obviously you look at it with a different lens of responsibility, maintaining the name, maintaining the quality. Back then, if something goes wrong, I mean, no big deal. You move on. Now it has become obviously very, I would say, not stressful, but demanding. As I told you, experimentation. This is practically tsimarri. This was my nickname growing up, okay? So I wanted to do something very, very raw, as me when I was younger. And this is an ancestral method. Practically, I selected a Girgentina of around 25 years. So it's 100% Girgentina. It's bottled at around 15 grams residual sugar. So you have practically harvest of the grapes around minus 10 degrees. We cool them as much as possible. Then destemming. We go down. Fermentation, it's at 12 degrees, very clear juice. When we reach at 15 grams of residual sugar, we bottle immediately. So the life of the fermentation is
continues within the bottle.
Only 10 to 15 days until this is met. This is gonna make a mess, so I can assure you. So let's see what happens when I open the
As long as we don't use the rice.
Yay!
Yeah, that was not a mess, man.
Perfect.
Thank you. And this is as raw as it comes.
This is fermentation at its best from Girgentina. You have almost the terroir inside the glass. So practically I wanted to give the consumer an idea what is happening during fermentation. The rawness stage of Girgentina, the salinity, a little bit of spark to it. Everything here is practically what we're witnessing during a fermentation, practically.
It's still developing.
Obviously, this can stay in the bottle for another 3 years. We can decide to disgorge if we want to in the next few months, and then leave it settling more as well into the bottle before consuming it. We decided to keep it in this sort of fashion because obviously it's something different from the other wines. It makes it very, very different.
You're expecting commercial hit with this, or?
So last year we did a small batch experimental only with around 5-6 restaurants that obviously know how to handle such beverages.
Don't open it in front of me.
You can actually nowadays disgorge as well in front of customers, which becomes really nice and sexy, to be honest. So we're thinking of this as well, giving this experience to the consumer by disgorging this bottle before serving.
And the right tools, obviously, not suitable for all the restaurants.
Exactly, you need obviously to know what you're doing, practically performing disgorging in front of a person. Cheers.
Cheers.
So this is completely dry, so it went to dryness, and that is what I love about it.
You ate all the sugar.
You're tasting literally the terroir of this particular soil. And Markus arrived, apparently. Hello, Markus.
Hello.
Good evening, Markus.
Hello.
How are
nice to meet you? Not bad. Just came from doing some schoolwork.
Last time we saw you working on the field.
Yeah.
Now we are here enjoying these fruits of your labor. So.
Yeah.
Gonna serve him some of the pet nut as well. For sniffing only, Markus, huh? He's still 16, so...
So you're growing up to be a winemaker, basically.
Yeah.
You don't need to necessarily, but I mean, you are exposed from the young age. What is the experience that you actually have in the winery? I mean, we're not gonna say that you are working full time, but you're helping here and there. You have a direct insight in winemaking process. You understand the industry a bit more. What can you say that you gained from being this directly exposed by following the steps of your father, though?
I mean, winemaking in general, it's a topic that is very broad, so you learn a lot. Viticulture itself, and learning how to actually deal with the vines themselves, and even some more technical work, doing lab work, testing. You have to be very precise when you're making wine. So it's not just experimentational. You have to experiment, and then you have to kind of reach some consistency. That's why testing is very important. And obviously you have to back it up with some more technical knowledge. I'm also studying sciences at school, biology and chemistry, and with the technical knowledge that I'm gaining, I can kind of link it to the practical work that I'm doing at the winery.
But you are interested in continuing in your father's steps?
That's the plan. I'd like to become an enologist. Hopefully I'll study abroad, because in Malta you can't really become an enologist from university, so you have to do it abroad. And that's the plan, to continue winemaking.
What is the trends among your generation? I mean, we still didn't speak with somebody as young as yourself. It's still too early to drink, obviously legally. But what is the vicious desires when it comes to the wine, alcohol and all?
I think in general, honestly, my generation, they're a bit less inclined and less interested in alcohol in general. I'm not sure about your generation, but with stories that I've heard, it seems there was much more interest than there is now. But I think it can also be an opportunity. For example, the spet nut that you're drinking right now, I think it's has huge potential, even for the younger generation. It's something interesting, something quite different.
Low levels of alcohol, exactly. Fresh wine, crisp.
With so many options on the market, not just wines, alcoholic beverages in general, you have to have that creative aspect, and you have to really have an edge over other drinks and have something which is actually interesting. Because someone my age wouldn't really be that interested in maybe something a bit more classical, and there's more interest in experimentation.
So welcome to the world of wines.
Yeah.
Cheers.
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 Smelling only, no? We tasted the white, we tasted the amazing, what was your nickname?
Țimari.
Țimari. Țimari. Let's cheers one more time and let's head inside to see the winery from inside.
Cheers.
Cheers.
A 6-meter wine rack representing all of our wines, practically all the colors, which immediately will give you an idea where the wine will lead you. So, like for instance, Zafrana, this natural clayish color, is leading to something earthy, garrigue, you know, it's giving you, it's heading to this sort of direction.
So the psychology of the colors, it has a meaning as well.
It has a meaning as well, a part of the name itself, which is saffron. Zafrana means saffron, is also the name of the alley that you came in from, and we tagged the 𝐅𝐻𝐋𝐋𝐖 grape, which is our indigenous grape varietal, to Zafrana. We have tasted the new vintages as well. The other wine, which is white, which is very important for, I would say, Markus Divinus, is Zarin. Okay, most of the people won't know us more for Zarin than Zafrana, because this is a wine with more makeup, with more, obviously, structure. This is a wine made out of Chardonnay on limestone.
Perfume is heavier on this.
Perfume is heavy on this. It's Chardonnay on limestone. Practically, it's fermented a little bit on higher temperature, and then it's aged in new French oak. And during the process, we do what the French call bâtonnage, stirring of the lees, making the wine more creamier than, for instance, the Zafrana. This stays for at least 12 to 14 months in new French oak, and it literally showcased the creaminess of Chardonnay by going into malolactic fermentation. Okay.
Zarin means?
Zarin means golden in Persian. Also playing with names. When I thought of the word golden, I thought of the farmer that I used to collaborate with. His name was Zarin. Practically nowadays we dedicated a wine to him as well. So we removed the "ni" to become Zarin, which is not Zareno in Maltese. So Zarin, then we do a lot of different styles of reds. That's why you are seeing a lot of different colors. Colors immediately, they are taking you to a certain style of wine. Adon being the most fresh out of the bunch, the most youthful, which is the second name of my son Markus. Adon means Lord, and this is the Gelosa with the fermentation of 𝐅𝐻𝐋𝐋𝐖, Syrah and Merlot, using processes where fermentation is done temperature controlled as well, and is aging in French oak, American oak, and a little bit of oak from Caucasus, which is actually the Ukrainian oak forest. Okay, so we have 3 different styles of oak, 6 types of grapes, marry everything together with the different terroir. In Malta you have the classical style, Gelosa, 𝐅𝐻𝐋𝐋𝐖, marrying the international grape varietals and also international situations when it comes to taste and terroir. The next wine that we offer usually to our guests, to our clients, because then the palate would need something more, would be Yehud. Yehud means Judith in Hebrew, okay, which is my mother. And for this wine, I wanted something a little bit more classic. classic. This is a Cabernet Sauvignon. We have two fields. One is Terra Rossa, very dark soil. The other one is a little bit on the clay side, so both Cabernet Sauvignon will give different interactions to the actual wine itself.
Clay retaining water much more.
Exactly, more drainage, one will retain water, but even the taste itself on the Terra Rossa will get more earthy flavors than on the clay soils. The clay soils will give a little bit more of fruit, mellowness to the Cabernet Sauvignon. And another plot of Sangiovese in 𝐼𝐸, which is more focused on limestone, which is practically giving a very small yield, around 600 to 700 grams, 700 kilos of grapes that we harvest every year. And practically we are fermenting everything apart and then blending in oak, which is used. French oak, which is used for the second and third year. The first year of the oak is giving you at least 65% of the flavor of the oak barrel, but the second year is just giving you that 25%, which is hardly noticeable into the wine itself.
And you keep it 18 months to 24 months in the oak.
This is kept for around 16 months, yes. Some blends, some vintages even more, depending on the style or the complexity of that year.
That you try to achieve.
17 was around 14.5% alcohol. 2021 I'm holding here is only 13%. So this stayed little less than 2017. We are observing what's happening during vintages. I'm not necessarily tied to use certain grapes every year. Like for instance in 2021 there was an addition of Cabernet Franc with the Cabernet Sauvignon and Sangiovese to add a little bit more of this garrigue forest feel to the wine itself. So yeah, from different shades of reds, I would say. Kiraz being the most pale. Kiraz means cherry in Turkish, and obviously having so much names after so many people, you cannot leave your wife out of the situation. So this is the cherry on the cake, Kiraz, practically. Adon is the name of the son, which we have discussed as well. Solum is soil in Latin. It also means alone, okay? Because this is practically 100% Syrah. Then after having a situation that you removed grapes out of the vine and you are left with 3-4 bunches, all the nutrition
accumulated, all the nutrition and the sugars
into those 4 bunches, and eventually you're making something which is very particular. You have to be extremely attentive not to have a sweet wine. So here we want to go to dryness. We don't want to have a residual sugar. This vintage went up to about 16% alcohol. The 2017 we are at 17.5% alcohol. Even the colors will guide you to how strong the wine is. And before going to black, definitely we have brown representing the earth, okay, the Terra Rossa, where these vines are planted. Gretz is the name of my grandmother. It's the first field I experimented with about 20 years ago. This is a Bordeaux blend. This is predominantly Merlot, because Merlot in Malta has quite a good reputation for good acidity, good tannins, good alcohol structure. This is a vineyard in Siġġiewi of around 22 years. It's Bayad, which is practically limestone, very limestone, have very good drainage, the plot itself. This is then blended with Cabernet Sauvignon, Again, like in Yehud, 2 different plots, Terra Rossa and also clay. And in some vintages, like the 2019, there's a little bit of Cabernet Franc as well to add this pepper to the blend itself. This goes as opposite to Yehud in new French oak for at least 18 to 20 months. So the idea is to have a very nice marriage between the oak and the wine itself. Obviously, I'm tasting as the wine is progressing to see whether we're overdoing it with oak or not. But because of the high acidity of the Merlot and also the structure and the tannins, the wine itself, when it's being fermented, we do extended maceration, and those harsh tannins are being absorbed by the extended maceration that we do with the Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot during the fermentation period. So the oak is just there to soften up further the wine itself and give obviously the mid palate and body that certain wines are being desiring.
So Mark, as you fetched some wine out there, explain the Adon 2023, please.
So Adon 2023, which is assembled in stainless steel. So practically did some years first into barrique, okay, aging into barrels. It could be French, there's a little bit of American, and there's a little bit of Caucasus, which is the Ukrainian oak. And then assembled back in a 1,000 liter tank to blend and homogenize the taste of the whole batch. This is a blend of Gelosa, fermented with the skins of Girgentina. There is Syrah, an abundant amount of Syrah from 2023, and also Merlot and Cabernet Franc in 3 different oak flavors. This will spend some more time in stainless steel, and then it will be bottled to rest some more months before it is distributed to our distributor or enjoyed in restaurants. The idea of Adon, as I was explaining, is this youthful wine. It's still extremely young, very powerful in its freshness, especially its pH, its color. It's very vibrant.
Very ruby color, like.
Exactly, nice acidity. So yeah, this wine can easily age 15 years. So on the nose, definitely, it's an explosion of fruit, an explosion of red currants, red fruits. Then there's this vibrancy of the color, and also from a taste point perspective, it literally bursts in your palate.
There's some spiciness as well.
The idea for the future for Adon is to become 100% indigenous varieties. So this is being at the moment worked out, doing experimentation as well with grapes that were native to Malta, not only Gelosa and Girgentina. So our intention is to have those varieties which are high in acidity, because Maltese climate will lack acidity during summertime. So we're selecting clones which are having high acidity. We're selecting clones as well which have high alcohol levels, because both Gelosa and Girgentina are more of table grape varietals. So these 10 different varieties are more close to grapes which are intended to make wine rather than eating.
Are you close to this research?
I wouldn't say we're close. We're very far. We haven't tasted anything, from these vineyards as yet. These sort of samples. It's just an idea, like when we started in the garage. So it gives us this sort of fuel to keep doing some research as well when it comes to indigenous varieties. We want to promote as much as possible what is local.
So in the meantime, I would like to introduce Priscilla. Priscilla, you are a new addition to Markus Divinus family. Priscilla is acting as a cellar brand ambassador for Markus Divinus. So Priscilla, what are your first thoughts and first hands-on experiences at Markus Divinus?
Well, actually, I visited the winery when I was doing a course, Wines of the Maltese Island, and we visited all the wineries in Malta, and one of them was Markus Divinus, and I fell in love. So, whilst doing my research, I sent him an email if he has any vacancies, and I don't think he had, but he gave me a chance, and here I am.
So you're embarking on new challenges here at the winery. So how did you end up in the world of wines before this?
I had a total different job before. I used to teach, and but I've always loved wine. I've always loved tasting wines, visiting wineries when I'm abroad. So then this course came up. I studied the course, and I ended up here.
So Priscilla, would you like to tell us how is your first interaction with the guests here in winery? I mean, given that you didn't have a huge experience in wine industry, what is your first thoughts? What are the people feedback on you customizing them, welcoming them into the winery?
That's part of the job that I think I like most. Because when customers book an appointment, you don't know who's going to come. So then when they arrive, I welcome them, and the first interaction is really interesting.
So if one is to buy your wines, where they can get them from?
So
apart from coming here and tasting them and buying in a spot?
You find us in all the Michelin star restaurants in Malta, and another 50 to 60 high-end restaurants, and obviously from here.
As Mark mentioned, you have a website as well, which they can look up, probably order and buy some wine directly. Is that right, Mark?
The website, it will be more towards experiences, the book experiences at the winery itself. We have various combinations of experiences. Experience with the cellar brand ambassador, experience with myself, experiences as well with interacting and sort of doing wines directly from the barrique. You know, we go to that level. Opening bottles from the garage days, we want to make it interactive for our consumers as well. We try as much as possible to work closely with the restaurants to give obviously the story behind Markus Divinus, how our wines taste. We invite them over to have this experience, and then they can relate this experience to their customers. We do events as well. We do events at restaurants. We try as much as possible to collaborate the local scene of the wines we produce vis-a-vis the food sector. We are very, very involved with restaurants that are trying to make something different in the culinary as well aspect of the Maltese islands.
What the future holds for Markus Divinus? What do you have in store for us for the near future?
So definitely
for the far future as well.
Yeah, for the far future, for the near future, I would say.
I would ask Markus for the far future.
Hopefully, I'll be around as well. So for the near future, I want to have a little bit more experimentation when it comes to sparkling wines. Definitely something that I'm intrigued about, and also involve Markus in it. At one point in time, we will get saturated, definitely. Considering my character that I want to produce perhaps all the styles. We're looking at also different styles of fortification as well, and I'm not excluding that I will have a fortified wine produced at Markus Divinus. It's something I'm looking at. I'm not going to exclude as well a brandy that's going to be produced at Markus Divinus in the next couple of years or couple of months. So I'm looking at different perspectives of literally winemaking of styles and beverages that I like to consume myself, and that would be sort of the closure of the puzzle here in Malta. My intention for the future, for myself, to get even more excited, is to produce wines worldwide, not only in Malta but different plots in different parts of the world, and then bring them back to Malta with the same philosophy I'm adopting here in the Maltese Islands. We're going to launch a new wine. It's going to be on the website as well. It will show on the website. It is called Lux Arcana, which is practically a blind wine. You will not have any details on the bottle itself. Only you will discover what's inside when you uncork the bottle. And then you can practically have the code of the cork itself into our website, which will tell you the story of the wine that you're drinking.
Very interesting take on wines.
So, to finish, I wouldn't have not offered you Solum, which is practically, I would say, something that I always have dreamed of producing. The extraction, the complexity, the viscosity, it's kind of different from all the other wines that we've tasted. Here it becomes amplified. The Syrah is amplified. There's tannins, there's viscosity, there's alcohol, there's freshness. On top of this, there's 24 months of new French oak to complement, to bind everything together. We don't produce Solum every year. This is produced, the first vintage 2011, the second was 2017, and now we're tasting 2021. So only 3 vintage I managed to create this sort of depth and viscosity into Solum. This is only practically 240 bottles, okay? Oh. And we're tasting bottle 216, very limited edition. You can see by the complexity of the color. What I'm aiming for here is the extraction from the skins. It takes fermentation around 15 days, and then we do an extended maceration, leaving the actual skins with the liquid for another 20 to 25 days.
Quite a long period. A
long period, but what's happening there is that the actual skins, they're taking the harsh tannins from the wine itself. So they're literally balancing and leaving the wine ready to be drunk.
The subtle tannins.
It's settling down, exactly. By tasting, by trying as much as hard as possible to arrive to the best day when to press the Syrah. Once that is pressed and is stabilized, it goes in oak and it stays between 22 to 26 months in new French oak.
Cheers, Mark.
Cheers. So it keeps giving.
And the alcohol in it.
The wine, it keeps giving. The finish is endless. It's an explosion of fruit. There's a little bit of deliberate oxidation. There's a little bit of umami. There's mushroom. There's a lot of flavors. The first year that we've started doing wines was 2017. And I had a batch of only 295 bottles from 2017. And obtaining this bottle from France, sending it to Barcelona, to get it
To
printed.
get engraved or printed.
Getting back to Malta and using a partial part of this palette of bottles. So we go a long way to try, obviously, to use the best packaging which is available, from the capsule, from the cork, from the barrel. We're trying not to cut any corners. We want to ensure that the wine itself practically is protected and it's reserving its flavor once it is bottled. Whether it's the bottle, whether it's the cork, whether it's the capsule, there's no compromises. We go very, very deep into producing such wines, and we want to make sure that whatever is in contact with the liquid is preserving its flavor. The cork that we use for Solum, for instance, is a Diam, which will take and guarantee the wine that it can age over 30 years. I started using Diam corks since 2014 and never looked back, because they're preserving the taste of what's in the stainless steel and what's in the barrel itself. The barrels I'm using only Segomoro, and I'm very loyal to this company because they followed me since I was literally in a garage. So yeah, I would say definitely Solum has brought me in a situation where every year I question myself whether we can arrive to this quality. So far, since I'm doing wines, we have not even arrived at 1,000 bottles of Solum produced, you know. So from this 20-year journey, we did not actually manage to produce 1,000 bottles of Solum. And that is why, because I want to keep Solum very, very special. And with this precision in mind, we are managing the quality of all the wines we're producing towards a bar which is very set, very high. Once a person told me, you cannot have all the team, all Ronaldos, you know?
They cannot perform the same.
They cannot perform the same. To my opinion, if you have a team in their particular position, if you're the goalkeeper, you cannot be Ronaldo, but you can be a very good goalkeeper, you know? So they have to perform on their sort of trajectory.
Mark, thank you very much for hosting us today. It was a real pleasure.
Pleasure is mine, yeah.
You can kick me out tomorrow morning and finish all the wines. And we wish farewell to the guest of the show.